or as weapon in analogy we question, but are completely legitimate. It can provide multiply correct solution to problem. However, most
Okay.
yes, are multiply choice. So the answer only one correct classification or should be given.
Okay, so now you're done, anak. Okay, so object and classification. So what do we mean by classification? When we say classification, this is the other term for what? Starts with letter C. Pag sinabi natin classification, anong other term or anong other word sa term classification? Sige nga, anyone? When we say classification, it is what? Anyone would like to answer? Yes, Palmon.
Classified po.
Classified. Another. Kate. What? Category. Very good. So when we say classification, the other term for classification is category or category. So now, what do you mean by category, ma'am? So when we say category, this is the classification of a certain word. Okay, let's say for example, let's look the example given. Knife is to kitchenware as red is to color. So, what do you mean by kitchenware, mga anak? What is a kitchenware? Ano ba yung kitchenware? Anyone? Jeremy, what do you mean by kitchenware? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng kitchenware? Those are the things that we can see in the... What is a kitchenware? Ha?
Makikita po yung
Oh,
mga ginagamit po
in English, those are the things we use in
sa kitchen.
kitchen or in cooking. Very good. So now, when we say classification, it means it is under what category? It is under a category. Do you understand? Okay, let's say for example, Nara, N-A-R-R-A. Nara is to tree. Hindi siya 3. Magkaiba yung 3 sa 3. So, Nara is to 3 as Gumamela is to flower. So, it means that when we say classification, object and classification, we are talking about the classification of the things. They understand what is the category of that thing. Okay, now, kindly look at the example. Oh. In the example given, knife is considered as a kitchenware because we use knife in cooking. We use knife when we go to the kitchen. Okay? And at the same time, we use color or the term red is an example of color. Do you understand my point? So when we say object and classification, we are classifying things according to its category. Okay? Therefore, if mango, again if mango is to fruit, as piatos is to chips or junk food. Very good. Do you understand now? Do you understand now? Okay, another example. Another example is...
Layo na. Ma'am, sorry po ma'am, nawalan po.
Okay, sige, just listen. Now, another one. We have safeguard is to soap. Okay? As cream silk is to... Cream silk shampoo.
Conditioner.
Conditioner. Very good. So, cream silk is not a shampoo. It's a conditioner. Okay? When I say Palmolive or if I say Palmolive Rejoice, that's the time it's considered as shampoo. But my question is cream silk. So, it's conditioner. Okay, now, another one. So, is object and classification analogy clear? Give me a thumbs up if it's clear for you. Give me a thumbs up if it's clear for you. Clear ba? Clear? Yung clear, ano yung clear? Shampoo, conditioner?
Shampoo, ma'am. Shampoo po.
Shampoo. Very good. So now, let's proceed with the third type. Third type of analogy, object and related. Okay, so now, when we say object and related, these are the objects that does not have a relationship, but they are related to each other. Related in a way that you cannot use the other one if the other one is missing. Basically, they are related. Do you understand? So, can you please read the meaning of object and related analogy, Jose Gabriel? As shown, Jose Gabriel, can you please read object and related?
As shown, the words mentioned in the example are all related to each other in some way or another. Be careful not to confuse this type of analogy with things that goes together analogy, like what described below. The relate the related object in this object and not related object analogy is an obvious relation. However, the objects are not inseparably intertwined to another, like, for example, a knife and a fork.
Eto, sabi ko papel, balo ka pala eh.
Sino yung nagsasalita? Hoy, Levinson, hindi ka nakamute. Unmute kita ha. Kamute ka ba? Erwin, ikaw hindi ka nakamute. Tignan nyo ha, may mga hindi nakamute dyan. Okay, so now, according to Sir Gabriel, so, object and related, these are the terms that are related to each other. They are not opposite. They are also not classification, but they are just related. So kindly take a look at the example. So in the object and related, according to the example given, we have cat and kitten. So meaning to say, we all know that cat is related to kitten. But when we cannot say that cat is the opposite of kitten. Do you get my point? So basically, cat and kitten are not opposite analogy because they are not contrasting words. Okay? Cat and kitten are considered as object and related because we all know that a cat is related to the kitten because the cat is the mother of the kitten. They understand, or cat is the adult term for kitten. Another example is that plant and seed. Is plant opposite of seed? Kasi kasalungat ba ng plant ang seed? Basically not. They get my point. So, plant and seed are not opposite to each other, but they are related because we all know that the plant cannot be a plant if it did not come from a seed first. They understand? Okay, so now, let's say, for example, it's different with objects or the things that go together. Let's say, for example, spoon and fork. Diba? They are related to each other because we use spoon as well as we use fork. Do you get my point? Thumbs up if you understand. Thumbs up if you understand. Thumbs up nga kung nalilito. Okay, so basically, our first lesson is very easy. So now, let's have the fourth one. So the fourth one is what we call part to whole. This analogy tells us the certain part of a something and the whole part. Okay? So, can you please read object and whole analogy, Dior, Zanso, Rain Dior?
Be careful not to confuse this type of analogy with the object and group analogy, which describe the difference that this derived from the fact that is the object part of the whole relation. The object from the whole when lots of objects and brought together. For example, glass and window match the description of object and part of a whole, but glass could just uneasy.
Okay, are you done, anak? So now, according to Dior, object and part of the whole analogy. So this type of analogy tells us the part of a something and then what do we call the hole for that thing? Let's say, for example, brick and wall. What do you mean by brick? What is a brick? Anyone? What is a brick? Can you please tell us what is a brick? Kurt Ignacio, ano ba yung brick? Sa Tagalog, ano yung brick? Brick yung hiwalay na kayo. Brick
Parang
kayo.
hollow blocks po, ma'am.
Hollow
Parang hollow blocks
blocks?
po.
Okay. Another. What do you mean by brick? So, according to... Sino yung sumagot ng hollow blocks? Okay, so...
Ako po.
Okay, so when we say brick, class, that is a hollow block. Tama yon. Yung square is square na pinagdudugtong-dugtong. Do you understand? So now, we all know that in order for us to create a wall, we need first to build a brick. Do you get me, class? We need a lot of brick so that we can create a wall. Same with glass and window. Let's say, for example, your window is made out of glass. So basically, you need one glass for you to create a whole window. Do you get me, class? Do you get me? Okay, let's say, for example, petal is to what? Petal is part of what? Look at the PowerPoint. Petal is a part of flower. Very good. Do you get me? Okay, I'll give you another. Let's say, for example, let's have an example. Okay, let's say, for example, Philippines, again listen to magtatawag ako listen to my example. You're going to answer this. Philippines is to Manila. Okay? As France is to France. Who answered Paris? Sabi ko magtatawag ako eh. Who answered? Sige, Erwin. The answer is Paris. But how did you come up with Paris? Because? Sige nga. How did you come up with Paris? Hindi, ma'am, naisip ko lang. Siyempre, in order for you to understand the answer is Paris, you need to identify first the relationship between Philippines and Manila. Ano bang...
Capital city po.
Very good. So basically, in the first pair, Philippines is to Manila. We are talking about the capital of a certain country. Do you understand? Therefore, Philippines is to Manila because Manila is the capital of the Philippines. And when we compare it to the other part, France will be, the answer, if the question is France, will be Paris. Do you get my point? Because Paris is part of France. We can use that example in object and part. Do you understand me, class? Do you understand me? Okay, another. Let's say, for example, ano ba? Let's say, for example, okay, sige, ganito. Esophagus, okay? Esophagus is to digestive system as, okay, makinig makinig. Magtatawag ako, please wag kayo sumagot ha. Esophagus is to digestive system as spinal cord is to Rain Cruz.
Bones, ma'am.
No. Ano? Okay, another. Sige, try natin ha. Another. Okay, Luisa.
Part of body.
Again in order for you to answer it correctly, you need to identify the part. You need to identify the relationship. Okay If esophagus is part of the digestive system, what system do you think does spinal cord or does spinal cord belongs? Do you understand the question? We're talking about parts. Saang parte daw anong system daw ng katawan ng tao kabilang yung spinal cord? That's my question.
Backbone. Muscular system.
System. I'm referring to system, not a part of the body. Palmon.
Skeletal system po.
Skeletal? No. Even though spinal cord is a bone, it's not considered or it's not part of skeletal system. Who raised hand? Who raised their
Ako,
hand?
ma'am.
Tina.
Ako, ma'am.
Um,
Po.
kasi nagsasabay yung raise ng hand eh. Raise ng hand, ganun kayo sa Molin. Molin. Yes, Molin. Answer.
Muscular system.
Muscular? Are you sure? Last one. Last try. It's not muscular because spinal cord is not a muscle. This system transmutes information in our brain. What system is that? Oh, science hindi alam yan ha. Tinuturo sa grade 4 yan. Oh, what system is that? What system involves the transmission of the message? Corbita, anak, sige. Starts with
Nervous system po.
Very good. Nervous system. Brain, spinal cord, those are part of nervous system. Because our brain, what? Tells us what to do. Tells us what to do, or our brain transmits message to the part of our body so that we move. Di understand? Di ba kaya nga minsan stroke yung mga tao kasi yung brain nila nagkakaroon ng damage, hindi sila nakakagalaw because there is no message na nanggagaling sa brain nila. Do you get me? O, naging science teacher si Ma'am Bremen. So, automatically, when you say part, object to part, we are referring to the part or to a certain part of a system. Do you get me? O, petal. Petal is the part of a flower. Therefore, spinal cord is part of what system? It's part of our nervous system. Do you understand? Okay, so am I clear? Thumbs up if I'm clear. Can we proceed? Okay, very good. So now, let's have cause and effect. So this analogy is the similarity in these types analogies derives from the cause on one side and its indisputably connected effect on the other side. So let's say for example, in cause and effect analogy, we are referring to the possible cause and the possible effect of that. Do you understand? Okay, so now let's say for example, spinning. What do you mean by spinning? It means it is like rotating. It's like circling around. That's the meaning of spinning. Diba? Spin the wheel. O, spinning, umiikot. Now, if we continue to spin, if we are having this motion, spinning or circular, what will be the possible effect to the person? They will feel dizzy. What do you mean by dizzy? In Tagalog, dizzy means, Jasmine, what's dizzy in Tagalog and in Filipino? Ano yung dizzy?
Nahihilo, ma'am.
Nahihilo. Very good. So therefore, if when we say cause, that's the cause of a this cause, what do you mean by cause? That's the reason. And then the effect, what will be the result of that? Do you understand? Oh, another, let's say for example, cause. Global warming. Cause global warming. What will be the effect? Starts with letter C. Double C. C, C. If we have global warming, we have the CC. What does it mean? CC means
Climate change.
what? Climate?
Change, ma'am.
Very good. So
Climate change.
CC means climate change. Diba? We are having climate change because of global warming. Do you get my point? So, ma'am, paano yun? Oh, let's say, for example, because of the fossil fuels. Okay, because of the activities done by the human, our atmosphere, okay, what do you call the atmosphere? Our ozone layer being are going thinner, or they become thinner. Therefore, we have climate change. Kaya pabago-bago ang panahon ngayon. 'Di ba? Dati summer is from March to April, summer. 'Di ba? But until now, minsan August na sobrang init pa rin because of the climate change. Okay, now, that's the meaning of cause and effect. So another one, if we have fire, what will be the effect? If there's a fire, basically,
Burn po, ma'am.
okay,
Burn
we're
po.
going to
Burn,
experience
burn, burn.
burn. Isang sagot lang, wag niyong hintayin tarayan ko kayo ha. Mabait ako sa mabait, pero wag niyo hintayin tarayan ko kayo. Wag niyo ako sabayan. Huwag kayong pakulit ng pakulit, sinasabi ko sa inyo. Next, we have read. Let's say, for example, your cause. This is your action. You read. If you read, if you continue read, what will be the possible effect? You will
Learn po.
learn. So that is cause and effect analogy. Pagkatas itong lesson natin, may magandang balita ako sa inyo, kaya kumalma kayo ha. Okay, so last two na lang ata to, last two. Okay, so last two na lang. Next one, we have performer. This is very basic. Performer and action. This is, again, a very straightforward analogy type, which is based on talking two sets of performers and their corresponding actions. So the relation between a painter and to paint is same as the relation between a soldier and to fight. So in performer and action, I'm going to give example about the person who do that activity and what activity does the person do. Let's say, for example, according to that, painter is to paint. They understand? Oh, what's the action of painter? They are painting. Am I right? Oh, another one, soldier is to fight. Therefore, what's the action of the scientists? They do research, they do experiments, 'di ba? They are conducting they are conducting research and experiments. They understand. Oh, let's say, for example, teacher is to
Teaching, ma'am. Teaching.
teaching or
Teach.
teach. Very good. Do you get me, class? Mahirap? Mahirap ba? It's very
Hindi po.
basic. Okay, so now, last one. Naku, matatapos na to. Nag-admit lang siya ngayon. Last one, we have object and location. So in object and location, in this relation, objects are assigned to their most logical location. This is not always strictly define. Example, a tree can be in forest, but it's just easily be in the park. You will have to find the correct answer again by carefully analyzing the analogy problem and its possible solution. Okay, let's say, for example, plane, hanger, doghouse. So basically, we are referring to the location of a certain material. Okay, let's say, for example, armchair. Kaya, careful listen. Armchair is to classroom. As books is to
Library, ma'am.
library. Very good. Because we all know that we can see an armchair inside the classroom and we can see a book inside the library. Is it hard? Is it hard? Is my lesson hard? Okay, so now
Hindi
on
po.
your
Hindi po, ma'am.
module, mga anak, on your module, in the last part of the activity, you're going to create 3 examples in each. You understand? May 3 examples kayo doon. Halimbawa, opposite analogy. Magbibigay kayo 3 example. Okay? So, mahirap ba? Hindi. So, madali lang yon. Next one. Mamaya, makinig ito yung announcement ko. Mamaya, 10 to 11, wala kayong online. Again, 10 to 11, walang online, walang ESP. Kasi po, wala kayong teacher sa ESP. Maliwanag. So, mamimit niyo pa si Sir Vega next week. Clear? Questions? Questions? None. So, Carbita, yes, do you have question?
Paano ko pagka same po yung examples?
Paano same? No. You need to use another example. Ibang example naman, ha? You need to think another example. Bawal na yung mga nabigay ko dito. Bawal na yon. Maliwanag? So, think of another example. Okay? So, another question. We're running out of time. Magta-time na tayo. Another example. Wala na? Wala nang question? Don't have questions, mga anak? Is my
Ma'am, tanong
discussion.
lang po, ma'am.
Sige, anak.
Habang wala po ba kaming online mamayang 10, magsasagot po ba kami ng module?
Pupwede. Ha? Okay.
Sige po, thank you po.
Sige na. Thank you. I'm going to leave the meeting. Goodbye. See you next week.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you po, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank
Ingat
you.
ka po.
Ingat po.
Bye.
Ingat po.